Well, this weekend at Bowling Green State University, they are putting on a wonderful opera by Kurt Weill that we don't hear all that often, so it's a great opportunity to hear opera in English. A very large cast indeed. It's called Street Scene, and it was written in 1946, premiered in Philadelphia, based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning play of the same name by Elmer Rice, and the lyrics are by Langston Hughes, music, of course, by Kurt Weill. These performances are Friday, March 24th, that's this Friday at 8 o'clock p.m., and the following Sunday, 26th of March, at 3 o'clock p.m. It's at Donnell Theater in the Wolf Center for the Arts. You can call up their box office at 419-372-8171, or you can go to the bgsu.edu/music website, click on the tickets button there, and that'll take you there as well. I'm joined in the studio today by the director of the show, Nicholas Wuehrmann, and Kevin Bylsma, who's been here many times before. Kevin is the pianist and music director. And we also have some singers who are going to perform some excerpts for us. But first, let's talk with you two gentlemen. Welcome to FM 91.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
So who wants to tell us a little bit about Street Scene? It's an opera, right? And Kurt Weill called it an American opera, even though Kurt Weill was a German composer, famous for all those 1920s collaborations that he did with Bertolt Brecht. But this is a little bit different, right? Can you want to tell us a little bit about the opera itself, Nicholas?
I can tell you a little about it. It was also referred to as a Broadway opera. It's not exclusively an opera. There are many operatic moments in the singing, but there's a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of influence of American jazz and blues in the music. There's a lot of Broadway-style numbers in it. There's some dancing, big group numbers. And then there are also roots from Weill's German years, influence when he was working with Bertolt Brecht.
Yeah.
The opera concerns a tenement building in New York City in 1946 and the various inhabitants of the building. There are many families who live in the building, and we get to know them as the opera goes along, or the Broadway opera. Yeah. And the Morant family lives upstairs, and Mr. Morant, as we discover, is a theater technician, and he's also an alcoholic. Oh. And his wife winds up having an affair, or it's presumed that she has an affair. You have to come and see what happens with that. The daughter works in an office, and her boss is trying to win her over by promising her some sort of a role on Broadway. Meanwhile, downstairs, we have the Kaplan family, which is the father is a Jewish immigrant. And then he has two children, and Sam is one of the children, and he and Rose are childhood friends who have grown up and have great feelings for one another.
Mm-hmm. Romantic feelings. Or
on one side.
Yes. Yeah. It's complicated. Yeah. Yes, it's complicated.
This certainly sounds like an opera libretto to me.
Yes. Yeah. A little bit of unrequited love on the part of one of them. Yeah. And we have more immigrants who live on the opposite side of the building downstairs. Lippo Fiorentino is an Italian immigrant, and his wife, Greta, who is a German, and they're married. And upstairs from them are the Joneses. Right. And they have a couple of kids, too. And there are other people who live in the house. There's a couple who are about to have a baby, and you can hear the wife's
There's a lot of stuff going on.
But there's a lot going on.
Well, we're not going to have a test on all of this later.
Oh, really? No quiz afterwards?
But the point being that there's a lot of stuff going on, but at the core of it, are the human emotions and stories that we see in operas and operettas all over the place. I imagine a wonderfully entertaining show and perhaps difficult to mount. With students, it has to be a challenge, Kevin.
Oh, absolutely. And it's one of the largest casts in the 12 years that I've been at Bowling Green, one of the largest casts that we put together. Wow. Everybody's in it.
That's great.
Usually we try to find one of the grad students to run super titles for us, just, to give them something to do, but everybody's in the show.
And nobody left over.
Nobody left over.
Wow. Well, let's hear some music. What do we want to hear first from the folks who are singing for us today?
How about Lonely House?
Lonely House.
Great place to start.
That is sung by the tenor.
Yes.
Who in this case is Mark Tenorio, and he's playing the character of
Sam Kaplan.
Sam Kaplan. Can you set up this piece for us?
Sam has just seen the neighbors all gossiping about one of the other neighbors, and he's
upset.
He's very upset, and he's an intellectual, and he would love to get away from New York to someplace that's better, more suitable for himself, and so he winds up quite late at night by himself in front of the house, contemplating his loneliness.
Okay. Tenor Mark Tenorio playing the role of Sam Kaplan, singing Lonely House, music of Kurt Weill, Kevin Bylsma at the piano, here on FM 91.
At night when everything is quiet, this soul now seems to breathe a sigh. Sometimes I hear a neighbor snoring. Sometimes I hear a baby cry. Sometimes I hear a staircase creaking. Sometimes a distant telephone. Then the quiet settles down again. The house and I are all alone. Lonely house, lonely me. Funny, with so many neighbors, how lonely it can be. Oh, lonely street, lonely town. Funny, you can be so lonely with all these folks around. I know there must be something I don't comprehend. Sparrows have companions, even stray dogs find a friend. The night's for me is not romantic. Unhook the stars and take them down. I'm lonely in this lonely house, in this lonely town.
Music by Kurt Weill from his opera or Broadway opera, or operetta, however you want to address it. Street Scene. We heard the tenor Mark Tenorio, who plays Sam Kaplan, performing Lonely House. Kevin Bylsma at the piano. Street Scene will be presented by the Bowling Green Opera Theater and the Department of Theater and Film at Bowling Green State University this weekend. That's Friday night, March 24th at 8 o'clock p.m. and Sunday, March 26th, a matinee at 3 o'clock p.m. It's at Donnell Theater at the Wolf Center for the Arts. You can call the BGSU Arts box office at 419-372-8171 or go to bgsu.edu/music and click on tickets if you want to get your tickets to that program. Director Nicholas Wuehrmann and Kevin Bylsma, the music director and pianist, are here in the studio with me. And Kevin, I wanted to ask you to talk a little bit about the music of this piece, because you mentioned to me that there's a lot going on in terms of underscoring in the orchestra.
Oh, absolutely. Like Nicholas had brought out, it's an opera that contains Broadway elements, operetta elements, some very dramatic operatic moments. But one of the things that highlights it, that makes it different from all of Kurt Weill's other output, is the use of the orchestra to underscore dialogue. Most of the spoken dialogue has some kind of orchestral playing underneath it. And he uses almost, dare I say, like a Wagnerian leitmotif to highlight not just what the characters are doing, but what they're thinking.
So that's like a snippet of melody or a theme that comes up every time to portray what's going on with the characters on stage. Is that something that the singers are made aware of, or that they try to capture in their performances?
From day one.
Yeah.
For them, for opera singers, and I'll have Nicholas talk about this in a moment, to do spoken dialogue is... honestly, it's a scary thing. This is a great opportunity for our opera students to gain some real acting chops. But with the idea that the orchestra will be playing underneath them, they need to treat their dialogue almost as though it's sung. They need to project in a way that just regular spoken dialogue might not be.
Well, it's a great, not only a great opportunity for people to come see the opera, but a great opportunity for the students to really do something valuable here for their careers. Let's hear another piece of music now. We'll come back and we'll talk about that acting thing that you mentioned, Kevin. This is Kate Pomrenke, right? Mm-hmm. I said that correctly. She's playing Rose Marant, and she's going to sing "What Good Would the Moon Be?" So do you want to set that up for us? No?
Sure.
Yes? Okay.
Yeah, it's, Rose is presented by her boss, Harry Easter, with an opportunity of, well, if you do a nice thing for me, perhaps I can do a nice thing for you and get you a Broadway role. He knows people, or so he says. And she goes, that's all fine, but, are furs and jewels worth anything if you don't have anybody to love you?
Oh, good point.
Good point, yeah.
Kate Pomrenke, who plays Rose Marant, and Kevin Bylsma going to the piano, putting on his music director hat there. We're going to hear What Good Would the Moon Be? That's from Kurt Weill's Street Scene here on FM 91.
I've looked in the windows at diamonds, they're beautiful, but they're cold. I've seen Broadway stars in fur coats that cost a fortune, so I'm told. I guess I'd look nice in diamonds, and sables might add to my charms. But if someone I don't care for would buy them, I'd rather have two loving arms. What good would the moon be unless the right one shared its beams? What good would dreams come true be if love wasn't in those dreams? And a primrose path, what would be the fun of walking down a path like that without the right one? What good would the night be unless the right lips whisper low, kiss me, oh darling, kiss me, while evening stars to glow? No, it won't be a primrose path for me. No, it won't be diamonds or gold, but maybe there will be someone who loves me, someone who loves just me. To heaven, to hold.
That's soprano Kate Pomrenke, who plays the role of Rose Marant in Kurt Weill's Street Scene. singing a little snippet there for us, What Good Would the Moon Be? Now, this weekend, Street Scene will be performed at Bowling Green State University. It's Friday the 24th at 8 o'clock p.m., Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock p.m. on the 26th. You can get tickets by going to their website, bgsu.edu/music, or you can call up the box office, 419-372-8171. I should mention that Bowling Green State University is an arts partner as well as a supporter of this program here on FM 91. I'm Brad Cresswell. In the studio with me still, director Nicholas Wuehrmann and pianist Kevin Bylsma, also the vocal director, vocal coach, chorus master. You wear a lot of hats, most of them musical, Kevin.
Most of them musical, yes.
And you often come here and play for us, so we certainly appreciate that as well.
Always a pleasure.
Now, Nicholas Wuehrmann, I wanted to ask you a little bit about this whole idea of acting and how it pertains to opera, because you're kind of in a unique situation where you've done a lot of acting in the theater, you've done film, television, and you've done opera and operetta as well. So you've got, a feat in all of these worlds, I guess. Well, that's a lot of feet. But
that's a lot of feet.
but, not to mix metaphors. But you have a unique perspective from that. And working with students who are just starting out, they often concentrate on the voice, but they don't necessarily get a chance to really hone their acting chops in a way that will be, interesting for today's audiences. So what are your feelings on that? What's your take on that situation?
Every student comes to the table with a different set of skills and experience. And so each person is addressed rather separately, and then as a whole, they're addressed, as a unit, so we do exercises to try to bolster the group feeling and how you give focus to each other. And then there are ways to just ground them in the reality of the dialogue. Sometimes we'll take, for instance, I took one of the trios in Act 2, and we took the music away and just did it as a scene to find the emotions and the connection and the characters and the relationships. But really, I try to stress to them the seed of truth in everything to make it very realistic and grounded.
Yeah.
We've worked on accents and dialect because there are a lot of New York accents coming in.
Oh, yeah.
We have German accent, we have an Italian accent, we've got Irish, Yiddish accent. So we've worked on that.
Well, are you doing that, or you have an accent coach, or how is that?
No, it's me.
That's Nicholas.
It's me. I choreographed it too.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
So I've done quite a lot of accent work myself.
That's something in your
career.
toolbox, as it were.
It's in my special skills on my resume.
Oh, it's great for the students to have access to all of that. I mean, I guess Street Scene, as far as operas go, or even operettas go, it really is a melting pot of so many different personalities, and there's singing, and there's acting, and there's dancing, and a lot of things in there to be appreciated and enjoyed, and as a learning opportunity for the students as well. And you told me that the sets are coming along nicely.
The set's going to be wonderful. It's a whole tenement house. You can't quite see the third and fourth floor. The proscenium doesn't go up that high.
Wow.
But we have an apartment building on stage and a fire escape, and they built a fire hydrant at my insistence. And
Wow.
Street lights,
and lampposts.
They should be renting out rooms and make a little extra money on the side.
Indeed, it's almost inhabitable.
Yeah, nice. We have a couple of more pieces of music, so let's get to Ben Ganger, right?
Yes.
Ben Ganger, who's a baritone.
Yep.
And he's going to sing. Well, you mentioned it earlier. Wouldn't you like to be on Broadway? He's the boss of Rose.
That's right.
Right. And I love how in the score there are adjectives for all the different roles. And this one he says Rose's sleazy boss.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's the character right there. Do you want to just intro this for us or refresh our memories?
Sure. When I put up the cast list, I put those adjectives behind it, and one of my colleagues said, I think before you post this, it would be wise to take those out. And
Yeah.
True.
Well, you didn't say sleazy baritone.
I didn't. No.
Okay.
Besides, Ben's very much acting against type here. So, this is one of the big Broadway numbers, like Golden Age musical theater numbers, and kind of a little razzle-dazzle theme behind it, and something I think that people will really latch onto. And his whole premise is, I know these people, and wouldn't you like to be on Broadway? And if so, I can make that happen, but then you need to do something for me.
Yeah, it's a story as old as the hills.
Indeed.
This is baritone Ben Ganger performing the role of Harry Easter in Kurt Weill's Street Scene, singing Wouldn't You Like to Be on Broadway? Kevin Bylsma at the piano here on FM 91.
Wouldn't you like to be on Broadway and go dancing at the Zanzibar? And have yourself an up-and-coming boyfriend who can make any course in par. Hey, kid, wouldn't you like to be on Broadway and wear some Bergdorf Goodman clothes? Red alligator shoes, a bright gold anklet, and 17 dozen nylon hose. Hey, kid, wouldn't you like to see your name up in the bright lights, in the white lights that gleam and glow? Wouldn't you like to be the leading lady in my heart, but also in some Broadway show? Wouldn't you like some personal promotion to a niche on the Great White Way? Wouldn't you? Hey, kid, what do you say? Hey, kid, wouldn't you like to be on Broadway? It's just a few blocks over, I know the way. Hey, kid, it's easy, I'll show you the way. Wouldn't you like to have two maids scrubbing your shoulder blades in a bubble bath sweet perfume? Can't you hear the doorman at the stage door? Here's your car when we leave your dressing room. Wouldn't you like to have the crowds applaud you at your first night on the Great White Way? Wouldn't you? Hey, kid, how about it? Hey, kid, wouldn't you like to be on Broadway? It's just a few blocks over, I know the way. Hey, kid, it's easy, I'll show you the way.
That's baritone Ben Ganger performing a scene from Street Scene of Kurt Weill. Wouldn't you like to be on Broadway? That is the character of Harry Easter, who is the boss of Rose Morant. We heard from Kate Pomrenke earlier, who sings that role, and she's going to sing a duet with Mark Tenorio in a few minutes here. But first, letting you know again, Street Scene is being presented at BGSU. It's a collaboration between the Opera Theater and the Department of Theater and Film. This weekend, Friday night, the 24th of March at 8 o'clock p.m., Sunday afternoon, the 26th at 3 o'clock p.m., That's at Donnell Theater at the Wolf Center, and you can get tickets by going to the website, bgsu.edu/music, or call them up, 419-372-8171. I'm Brad Cresswell. In the studio with me, director Nicholas Wuehrmann, and chorus master, vocal director, coach. I have a whole bunch of things listed here. Kevin Bylsma, also the pianist for our singers today. Kevin, how do you want me to refer to you?
Oh, those were all great titles. The more the merrier.
Okay.
You know?
I'll see if I can think of a few more
Okay.
before our next break. But we have another piece that we're going to hear, a duet that we're going to hear. But first of all, let's talk a little bit about all the different elements that an audience is going to see when they come see this opera. We talked about it being a melting pot. And, you know, it's all these immigrants, right, on, was it Lower East Side that this happened, supposedly?
Lower East Side or Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
I've sort of been telling them it's Hell's Kitchen because there's a reference to Broadway being just a few blocks over.
Oh, so we're talking the 50s, maybe.
Yeah. 40s, 50s on the west side.
As far as streets go. But as far as years go, takes place in 1946, which is the year that the piece was written. So it was very contemporary for the day and age. of Kurt Weill. Well, how does that hold up after all these years, being set in 1946?
It holds up very well. I think there are a lot of themes that are, current to today, or really any day. I mean, there are always the themes are love and loss of innocence and infidelity.
Things that are going to be with us and forever.
Prejudice. There's all sorts of things that are relatable to today.
Universal themes.
Universal.
And you've got dancing, you've got singing, you've got acting. You said there were kids and dogs in the show.
There are kids and one dog.
One dog.
There's a dog.
When I was in the theater, they always said there are two things you can never have on stage, and that is kids and dogs, because they steal all the attention.
They're all doing quite well in the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is another one of my titles. I'm actually the producer of this show.
Oh,
and
okay.
So this is the first time I had to audition children and actually had to look at pictures of dogs. So it's been an adventure.
You didn't have the dogs come in and do an actual audition
No,
for you?
thankfully we have one of the cast members who has this beautiful Sheltie, and she volunteered, and really the dog is just incredible.
It's all coming together.
Worth getting a ticket to see the dog, okay?
Right. Well, the dog enthusiasts will have a special treat. Now, this is presented at Bowling Green State University, but also under the auspices of the Kurt Weill Foundation, because they're very much involved in all the performances of Kurt Weill's work.
Yes. In fact, they approached us last fall. They wrote an email to one of my voice colleagues, Christopher Scholl, who's had many students participate in their vocal competitions, saying, "We hear you're doing street scene." We're like, well, I'm so glad the word's already gotten out. Yeah. And they said, well, we like to support the performances of his works. And so they had us fill out a grant proposal, which very grateful for the help that one of our doctoral students, Hilary Labonte, gave us for that, and we won the grant. And so
wonderful.
It was very generous support from the foundation, which has helped to make this all possible.
Yeah, they sort of put the official stamp on your
absolutely
production.
It's a beautiful thing. It makes it such a higher level collaboration for us.
Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap it up with a final duet, which I'm going to ask one of you to introduce in a moment here. But before I let you go, is there anything else you want to say to people that are listening out there? And other than come see the show.
Come see the show.
Yeah.
I think I might have said this before, but there really is something for everyone in this show. If you love Broadway musicals, especially Golden Age musicals, there are so many tunes and rhythms that will sound reminiscent. If you love Puccini, you're going to have, especially with the underscoring I was talking about, you're going to have a feeling of connection with the operatic world that way. If you love dance, you have that. Again, children and dogs and big chorus scenes, you have that as well.
Yeah.
Passionate music making and great storytelling. So, why wouldn't you want to come?
Yeah, and we've heard some of the music today, so people have an idea of what they're in store for. Speaking of the music, we've got that one duet left between the soprano and the tenor. Yeah. You want to introduce that for us?
Sure. It actually does a little quote from When Lilacs Last in the Dooryard Bloomed of Walt Whitman, which happens to show the esoteric side of Sam Kaplan, that he reads. He's studying to be a lawyer, but he loves to read and is passionate about what he reads. And he quoted the poem once to Rose, and she remembers that and tries to quote it back to him, which of course makes him love her all the more.
Yeah.
And so this is really one of the beautiful love duets in the whole opera, and you hope that by the end of it that maybe things will work out and that the two of them will end up together. But you'll have to wait and come to see the show to find that answer.
See what happens, huh? Kate Pomrenke and Mark Tenorio performing music by Kurt Weill here on FM 91. Kevin Bylsma at the piano. I want to thank Kevin Bylsma, the producer of the show, also the director, Nicholas Wuehrmann. Thanks so much for coming in today, guys.
I don't know, Sam. Sometimes I feel discouraged too. Last night I could hardly sleep, and I woke up depressed and blue. I thought I'd walk to the office, so I cut through the park by the mall. Everything looked so fresh and green. Life seemed not so bad after all. What do you think I saw, Sam? A lilac bush flowering bright.
unknown farmhouse near the whitewashed palings stands the lilac bush, tall growing, with heart-shaped leaves of green, with many buds and blossoms rising delicate, with a perfume strong I love, with every leaf a miracle,
Planting an old farmhouse near the whitewashed
with a perfume strong I love,
stands the
with every leaf a miracle, and from this bush in the dooryard, with delicate colored blossoms and heart-shaped leaves of green, a sprig with its flower I break,
a sprig with its flower break. Yes, that's what I thought in the park today when I saw that bush fresh and green. I wanted to break off a flower, but I was afraid I might be seen. Maybe a park policeman might come and take me away. Do not pick the flowers, the signs forever say.
Don't, they always say, stand back, keep all the grass, don't pick the flowers, don't pick the flowers, don't take.
But in a dream, sad,
Yes, in a dream,
Yes, in a
was a sprig with its flower we break, a sprig with its flower we break,
and the lilac bush is
the
ours.
lilac bush is ours,
Can take it away.
nothing can take it away.
Lilac bush is
The lilac bush
ours.
is ours, forever and a day. And when you see the lilac bush bright in the morning air, remember, always remember that I care